No, Dizzy, you're not an issue, you're not too overpowered, you're not top tier. I just wanted an interesting video premise because I saw Paluna's outcome in DNS. I thought she did really well with the character. You're not a problem head. Thank you very much for bringing up this concern, but you're all good. Have a good one. If you couldn't tell by that intro skit, that is the short answer of everything that you want. Dizzy is not a problem. She's not an overpowered menace, she's not a destructive force. Today's video, I want to have a discussion talking about how she may be a little stronger than what we initially thought. Back when she released in Season 4, people were considering her one of the worst characters in the game, who is very hard to perform with. Couldn't really get a lot of good results, and at the end of the day, she was a difficult character to pilot when it came to the big body meta. But in 2.0, she certainly shines, as we see Paluna in the third TNS take second place against some of the best contestants that were there. And I thought we might need to have a convo about how strong that she has become. The way this patch has changed and the way the system mechanics have changed, it all suits her to a very good degree. To talk about it in a way I'm trying to convince you thinking that Dizzy might be a bit more of a threat. You can walk away from this knowing the strengths and weaknesses of the character and try to adapt to that, and then, you know, make your decisions based on what you know rather than your feel. But let's get started by talking about the positives, what makes her strong in this patch. First thing to note, damage. This character is a very high damaging character. All of her counter hits lead to massive reward. A lot of her setups can lead to even more reward with the right tool being the star. She is a genuine monster when it comes to deleting that health bar, and that scares me whenever I watch a lot of the tournament gameplay. Any counter hit is going to lead to someone losing their life. Of course, there's a lot of set play and there's a decent mindset that goes into it, but at the end of the day, she can really hit hard, and that's not common for a zoner. Axel's able to hit hard, some very niche use cases to get there, whereas Dizzy, I feel, has more opportunities to hit harder. She had solid set play and pressure. When she has you in the corner, having close slash that staggers, having a 5H that staggers and a bar slash that staggers, it starts to get in your mind of there's so many opportunities for me to go for a bad mash here and get caught. Mix that with the chestnut, she can really dish in some nasty work. Plus on block, and of course it being a projectile means that there's no pushback. You need FD her for sure and give up a ton of meter to push her back. If she's got Wings of Light, then maybe you don't want to push her back too far. Wings of Light, as we know, is a bit of a gimmick tool, a little bit harder to use, but what it actually does is that it creates a mindset for you, the player, to mash. It's been 8 seconds on the clock and 2 more. She's going to delete your health because she has half her bar meter ready to cook your health. You start to think, I need to mash, I need to get out here, counter hit Michael's sword. Damage is high. Mix that with the goddamn Wings of Light, you're going to take a lot of damage in the corner. Mix that with the set plate and the timer that ticks up with the Wings of Light, you start to get a bit scared. You're like, oh my god, what do I do here? Do I mash? Do I wait it out? Do I take the Wings of Light so I can escape later? Do I try to escape now? And there's a lot of mindset that goes on. Wings of Light isn't necessarily to cash out on a hit, it's to get you to open up without enforcing a high-low mix. And of course the pressure gets nuttier with the narwhal. If she's able to get a full charged one, she's able to chunk a lot of time off that Wings of Light. And I haven't even talked about her neutral. Her zoning, her neutral is actually very strong in set matchups. Against matchups where the character's running a bit more of a bigger body, or a rush down that isn't chip, it can be difficult for the opponent to get in on Dizzy. Dizzy's tools are great for covering screen space in the specific space that is needed. Chestnut will track, meaning she can kinda use it as a pseudo anti-air fireball. The fishes are great for unblocking or hit. She can kinda send out for a later set play. The icicles cover specific areas and are very active, so the opponent can't just run by it, they have to respect it. As a delayed meaty tool after a knockdown, this is a brutal one, as it enforces a lot of plus frames and a lot of setup for Dizzy to do what she wants. You start to see how her neutral is a bit difficult to get in on. Michael's sword covers a ton of space, projectiles cover a ton of space, and the icicle is super active, so even though it covers a space that's obvious, you can't just jump over it as you make get hit. So you start to get a little scared in neutral, even though there's some characters that can get by this very easily or can play neutral with her to a better degree. A lot are not in that same boat, and they genuinely need to think out how to escape her pressure and how she pokes you. Mix that with the ice floor, it gets a little scarier for sure. When she does the icicle like mentioned, she makes the ice floor. Makes it all slippy and slidey for everybody. It benefits Dizzy to a good degree, as her dash speed is very quick. When she runs, she's able to go quite a distance very quickly, meaning she can obviously stop her zoning to go for a run-up throw play that would catch you off guard. Mix that with the floor, it makes everything a little awkward. And when she gets a hit off of certain tools, all of a sudden that is a combo. When you get knocked down on the ice floor, you get picked up for a combo, and for Dizzy, she's able to do whatever the hell she wants. We saw Paluna get many a cash out scenarios because of this ice floor to do it for throw, 2D, you name it. You can't be comfortable when the ice floor is on the ground. And Michael's sword just gets so much stronger when this ice floor is out, because all of a sudden this counter hit Michael's sword is leading to so much damage. And surprisingly, her 5 guts lets her tank scenarios that normal characters wouldn't be able to tank. Her health is low, but in certain scenarios, she's just not that low health character because of the 5 guts. She can survive PRC plays at low health, or she can survive a jab into a confirm in low health, but it's very niche that this will come in. White Wild Assault being gone as well is just such a godsend for Dizzy this patch. This is definitely the final thing worth noting. It's gone. She doesn't have to zone and think about this tool coming out at any time. Now, she could just zone and not have to worry about that. She has to play accordingly to how neutral's supposed to be played. Like, oh, the big body wants to go for a JD. I should maybe meet him in the sky. Oh, the big body's looking to try and run. I should check him. Doesn't have to worry about White Wild Assault anymore. And that is a godsend for the zoners. But up next, let's talk a bit more about the negatives of Dizzy. First negative, she's low health. If you get in and you get in with a decent hit, you're able to delete her health fairly quickly. And even though the characters have a tough time with her, like Slayer, if they're able to get in, they don't care about the matchup as much because their damage outweighs the crappy neutral. Of course, when she gets the 5 guts, like mentioned before, a little bit tanky, but until that point, very fragile. You're able to do whatever the hell you want in terms of offense. Her matchups are a bit rough. When it comes to big bodies, they can kind of take the hit, so they don't really care as much about the high damage that Dizzy can do. And rushdowns that are hardcore rushdown like Chip are able to maneuver around their tools very easily. Rushdowns like Melia may struggle a little bit, but all the other ones just have so much to work with that they do not have to worry about this matchup. Characters like Reflect don't really have to care about the neutral, i.e. Potemkin is super strong in this matchup due to it. However, he got nerfed in a lot of ways to make the matchup a bit easier for Dizzy, but definitely is still Potemkin favoured. One thing that's a bit odd, I want to note this is both a positive and a negative, is the super. Our super is a fantastic defensive option due to the reach. She's able to punish things from a certain distance that other characters can't, kind of like how Jam Super's been doing that recently. Good for these niche case scenarios where the opponent's doing some staggered offense from a distance because she's actually able to punish them. But it has a long startup, so characters are able to do certain attacks and block it in time. You're able to avoid this with a lot of ease if it's done as a wake up super, so it's not really a great wake up option on defense as there's so many avenues to punish it. A lot of our tools have a ton of startup on them. Chestnut, for example, setting up the fish, icicle. It can be very difficult to just represent all these options when you're up against a character that has just as good reach as you, i.e. Axel. Just like that, he's able to send a 2H and interrupt you in a lot of these tools. Potemkin, he's able to send a 6H or a 5H and interrupt you in a lot of these tools. And his damage compared to Axel is way higher. Any character that has the reach to contest, she certainly has it tougher against a lot of the other casts that have to deal with that. Being able to get a counter hit and deny a lot of her startup is the main way to go if you've got the reach to do so. If you've got the dash speed, for example, something like Giovanna 2D might be quite a decent option. Ace Floor can be used against her as well. Whenever this is used for a knockdown, she gets a pickup, yippee! But that also includes her, so if characters have full screen knockdowns or knockdown tool, that is a combo or hard okie for them now. Again, best examples of it are other zoners or Potemkin. Potemkin can do slide head, interrupt a tool, and now it is a hard knockdown for Garuda from full screen. You wouldn't get that normally. Except with Axel, we all know what he can do, Renson, 2H, you name it, right? Lastly, Burst. All of her combos, because of how high damage and multi-hitting they are, give the opponent a ton of burst. Against some matchups, that's not so bad. You'll kill Chip in enough times where the burst efficiency won't matter. Our worst matchups, like Potemkin and other big bodies, are able to take full advantage of that as they get more opportunities to burst, use deflect. It almost feels like you always have burst against Dizzy, and in those matchups, Dizzy will certainly notice it, that all of her combos are getting bursted very quickly. If you're playing a big body or a character that can take the hits, maybe like Saul Bad Guy, pay attention to that. There's a lot of opportunities to go for a goal burst in that matchup. That is it for today's video. I do think Dizzy is a strong character this patch, maybe like A near S tier type strong, not top 10, but just outside of it, as she has many ways to get in in starter offense. She just loses to certain matchups, and that is a good thing. I think Dizzy's in a good spot. You guys see a lot more of her, and Paluna on the screen was fantastic to watch on TNS and is definitely worth the shout. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to like, sub, hype, and do all that good stuff, and tell me what you think Dizzy's at in terms of strength. I want to hear it because I think this character might go a little unnoticed, but I don't think she's busted. That's going to be it for today's video. I'm still trying to plan out some stuff I want to do, and again, thanks for the support. It means a ton on the counter blitz video and the clip video that I just put out, which had a ton of effort done into it. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.